Hi everyone, my name is Alexandra Mattison, and today we're going to be discussing the behind the scenes for Ali and the Rhino. Um, I just wanted to start off by saying what an amazing year 2022 has turned out to be. With all the births of rhinos happening around the world, so that is just yeah, thoroughly enjoying hearing all these stories, as I'm sure most of you are too. And I definitely am starting to think that there is something in the water, but I'm all for it and loving it. And definitely, again, congratulations to River and Winter at Care for Wild. They are absolutely amazing moms, taking care of their little ones, and thoroughly enjoying seeing all the updates coming out regarding them from Care for Wild, as well as their latest orphan, little Daisy. She's also growing up so fast and doing so well on her healing journey. Um, yeah, so yeah, I think it's one of those things. I remember Petronel saying that this is something that would mark their success, is the birth of baby rhinos to the orphans that have now been rewilded and released into the IPZ, and it definitely is a success. Honestly, they are being so amazing as moms, and I don't think you would even guess that they were orphaned, how they are handling this. That's definitely being handled all in great stride by them. And yeah, they I think also the babies are going to be absolutely spoiled. Yeah, it's so amazing to watch them, and I can't wait for even more updates about them actually. Um, yeah, so jumping into to this the post on Instagram, like I hope that everyone's enjoyed the content I've been putting out this year regarding the book and regarding Care for Wild and the rhinos. And I've really enjoyed expanding on what I've did last year, with regards to discussing the stats, discussing the survivors of poaching. So the ones that were poached and lived to tell the tale, and then also going further into sharing the stories about the orphans at Care for Wild. So I did do that one link in my stories on Insta, where you could find all the individual stories, right? And then it's also been amazing now with the newborns at Care for Wild. Winter's story and River's story got to be retold, and I think it's so important to remember where they came from in order to realize how far they've come, and to actually then also appreciate and to stand in awe and pride of what they went through, and then to see how they're handling being a mom. You know, it really is just amazing. And then also all their stories on how they are assisting other orphanages and their blood bank and everything. Like Care for Wild has come such a long way, and they've been doing a lot of this stuff for a very long time actually, but I don't know if many people knew all of these things that they are doing. So it's like actually so amazing that they're posting about these things, and we're finding out more and more and more about the behind the scenes of what they're really doing, because what it takes to look after these orphans is so much more than what a lot of people even realize. So if you can, definitely volunteer, go, be a part of the behind the scenes, and get to know the backstory, get to know what it really takes to look after these animals, and to get them through the rescue, rehabilitation, into the rewilding, and then out into the release and the protection part of their journey, right? And then also when you volunteer, you get to understand what the whole protection part is, with regards to the anti-poaching and all of that. So I think volunteering is such an important part of the awareness and understanding of really how much goes into these sorts of initiatives, as well as being like a humbling experience, really. Then to the books, I think it was kind of, I was actually just looking at my writing, and I mean, when I first started writing this book, so I wrote it in 2020. It feels like so long ago. It was quite long ago, but I mean, it feels a lot longer than actually 2020. And I mean, yeah, so when I started writing, I actually named it A Girl and a Rhino. So a lot of things changed after I initially wrote it, and funny how it all started out with what may look like scribbles. Like when I write quickly, because it's like as the story starts flowing, you write, yeah. And what a journey it has been, but obviously the journey started when I when I first started volunteering at Care for Wild, and then all the writing began and everything. So once the story starts, you need to keep up with the writing. So yeah, it starts, can be a bit of a scribble, as you can probably see from there. And then it changes and evolves and everything. And I also went through some of the stuff I wrote, because I started writing a little bit of a book about my experience, and then I even wrote a poem for Petronel. And I gotta say, guys, some of these stories and some of these poems that I wrote, like, I don't cry often. That is something that some might feel is weird because I am a Pisces, but I actually don't cry very often. And but when I wrote these stories, it is definitely something that some of them touched me so deeply to my core that I would literally be sobbing. And I think another story that touched me to that point was Little Fred's story. He passed away last year, and that really, I think that, and when those, was it like 48 hours, I discussed this when I posted about the stats, the 2021 rhino poaching stats. Like, those are moments that do reduce me to tears. And yeah, I'm hoping that with all these births, with 2022 being such a year of, it seems to be a year of change, I'm hoping that the stats change. And also there've been a lot of convictions with regards to poachers, so jail time and stuff. So I'm hoping that there's definitely a turnaround this year with regards to the poaching. Then also Care for Wild has been introducing those ankle tracking stuff for the rhinos. So I mean, I'm thinking this might be so much more, like even more defense and protection for them, as well as scientific research and data capturing, right? So it's not just about the protection, it's also about learning more about rhinos' behaviors. But yeah, so let's quickly go through, I'm not going to go through again my drawings, like the original drawings that I did. I did do a video about that last year, but we can go through like the final drawings now quickly. And I don't have them in order because that is like how I roll, it seems. Oh, it's all back to front. Oh, really? Sorry, guys. So here is some of my ones. So Ali came from overseas to visit South Africa. There's a baby rhino hiding, all scared and alone. I mean, you can see, I don't know if you read Winter's story, so basically her behind the scenes story of her rescue and how she came to now live at Care for Wild. I mean, she was in the bush without her mom for some time before she was rescued, which resulted in obviously being attacked, or not obviously, but she was attacked by hyena, I believe it is, and that's why she doesn't have ears, because of that attack. And they also discussed, you know, that's kind of why she keeps close to her crash, because she doesn't have ears, like her hearing's reduced a little bit, because your ears actually funnel in the sound, right? So her hearing is good, but is not as good as her fellow crash members. So staying with her crash is a protective mechanism for her. So definitely go and read her story if you haven't read her story yet. And yeah, with or without ears, I still think she's absolutely beautiful and such a brave soul. And yeah, it's definitely, go also read up about her baby. Like, guys, you need to start following Care for Wild if you aren't. And yeah, I can't wait for more babies to be born at Care for Wild, and to hear, yeah, everything, all their innovation and technology and everything that they are doing in their research and the protection of the rhinos. So thank you guys, thank you for listening to my behind the scenes, and yeah, definitely check out their website, check out what they're doing. If you can volunteer, definitely go do that, especially since lockdowns and things have kind of eased up a little bit, and South Africa is no longer on the red list. Definitely use this as your opportunity, guys. Okay, great, thank you so much. Okay, bye.